And it also means that a MedMart, wherever it's located, is the perfect way to do this because it takes advantage of an historic bioscience and healthcare strength. It will not just revitalize downtown, it will also create more jobs and create what's called an industry cluster. Here's an industry cluster definition. It's a place where you, even if you, God forbid, you lose your job, you keep your parking place because you can go right next door and get another job because of the density. So we're going to create Ohio hubs of innovation and opportunity patterned after the Research Triangle in North Carolina. They'll be all around the state. We'll have knowledge centers like CASE or CSU or Battelle or NASA Glenn as the anchor. We'll draw a line around it, and we will target enhanced incentives for businesses that locate within that hub, provided they form lasting, definitive, collaborative written agreements with that knowledge center. And then the final goal of our strategic plan is to focus on you, to focus on our customers. We recognize that most businesses we talk about would prefer the fast no to the slow yes, even though every business I've talked to wants the fast yes. And we are trying to operate now at the speed of business, not the speed of government. And when we do that, we actually think we have an opportunity to transform Ohio's economy, to change the trajectory. A lot of other states over the last 10 years have been doing it better than us, but here is our secret sauce. We have a much stronger, sturdier, deeper, and broader foundation. And so if we can build on that foundation that other states only dream of, and be fast and flexible and innovative and entrepreneurial, we win almost all the time. And that's exactly our plan. That's exactly our strategy. Let me end with a story. And the story is about the fact that yesterday was Abraham Lincoln's birthday. And I think that many of you may know this story, but I want to make sure that you understand how I think it fits into our economic growth. Cleveland became a symbol of hope during those times when Abraham Lincoln was president, serving as an escape route for enslaved men and women seeking freedom along the secret hidden paths of the Underground Railroad. In fact, Cleveland's Underground Railroad code name was Hope. Tradition holds that just across the Cuyahoga River, brave Ohioans from two churches, St. John's Episcopal and St. John AME, would help slaves from Kentucky and Virginia attain the freedom that many of them had dreamed about for years. For years, humble Americans with few means gathered the courage to travel thousands of miles to Cleveland, the last stop on the Underground Railroad, and Cleveland became known as the City of Hope. Under Mayor Jackson's leadership and with the wonderful public-private partnership that we have formed not just in Cleveland but in Northeast Ohio, I believe that not only is Cleveland the City of Hope, but that Ohio will also be the state of hope. And just like my father-in-law, Mike Zone, I know, we're creating our own future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lee. I didn't see any text messaging, so I think it was a very good speech. Today at the City Club of Cleveland, we have been listening to Ohio Lieutenant Governor Lee Fisher. We'll have Lieutenant Governor Fisher come back in a moment for questions. We encourage you to formulate these questions now and remind you that your questions should be brief and to the point. I think we have a lot of folks who have questions here today, so we'll want to answer as many as we can. We welcome all of you here and those listening to WCPN 90.3 FM, WCLV, WTAM, or one of the many, many radio stations across the country that broadcast the City Club weekly. Radio broadcasts of the City Club are made possible through the generous support of Case Western Reserve University. Our television broadcast partners are WVIZ, PBS, IdeaStream, and Time Warner Cable. Television broadcasts are supported by National City, now a part of PNC, and Cleveland State University. Closed captioning is supported by Nordson Corporation, and our live webcasts are supported by the University of Akron. We're pleased to welcome to our forum today students who are here as part of our City Club student program. Participation of these students is made possible by a generous contribution to the City Club from the Cleveland Clinic. With us today are students from Canton South High School and Kirtland High School. Also today, we're pleased to welcome guests at tables hosted by Baker Hostetler, Burgess & Burgess, Case Western Reserve University, Charter One, the Cleveland Clinic, Cuyahoga Community College, Key Bank, Medical Mutual of Ohio, National City, once again, now part of PNC, Sisters of Charity Health System, Squires, Sanders, and Dempsey, University Hospitals, and Western Reserve Partners. Thank you for your support. Now let us return to our speaker for our traditional City Club question and answer period. We welcome questions from everyone, even guests. You have to be a paying member, but we'd like for you to be one. Holding the microphones to our Public Relations and Program Manager, Carrie Miller, and Assistant Director of Development, Marcella Brown. Now, first question, please.
Are you working on partnerships among Ohio cities? And if you are, and I hope you are, can you give us some examples?
Yes, Mr. Mitchell, I can. I think that, first of all, you should know that in our last budget, we reserved a line item for something called the Regional Collaboration Fund. Because I think, as many of you know, we have a pretty scattershot governmental fragmentic system that I think often does not work as well as it should. So the state of Ohio has decided to give out competitive grants to those public entities that partner with each other, that show us that they either can advance economic development in a regional way, do shared services, and reduce costs. And we're hoping that it will catch on. And many of the applicants have been right here in Northeast Ohio. I think you know that the Cuyahoga County Mayors and Managers Association have been at the forefront of that, and we're working with Mayor Curran of Hudson. So the bottom line is that we work all the time with communities, and those hubs of innovation and opportunity I talked about are not going to be a top-down approach. They're going to be a bottom-up. We're going to go to Mayor Jackson. We're going to go to the leaders in Northeast Ohio and say, let's see if we can arrive at a consensus where the most patents are being produced, where the most research and development and commercialization is happening, identify the key knowledge centers, and together identify what that hub of innovation and opportunity should be.
Lee, within the next year, there'll be an election here in Ohio for a new United States Senator. Without any comment or commitment as to who the candidates may be, what in your opinion, though, will be the major issue that will be fought out in that campaign?
Stan, the major issue will be the major issue that it presents us right now. It won't go away. And that is the national and global economic crisis and how America can be economically and financially competitive. It is the dominant issue of the next century. And everything else stems from that. If you care about mental health, if you care about primary and secondary and higher education, no matter what issue you care about, it all comes back to the rising tide that lifts all boats, and that's economic growth. So I believe that it is the dominant issue, not just in the Senate campaign, it's the dominant issue, I think, in the state and the federal level, probably for the next 20 or 30 years.
Thanks for your forceful report. The viability of alternative energy depends in part on the alternative costs of gas, natural gas, and oil. Do you have any ideas on how we can make alternative energy compete effectively with low-cost alternative traditional sources?
Well, first of all, I would say, Art, that this is a matter of national security in every sense of the word security. Physical security and economic security come down to reducing dramatically our reliance on foreign oil and becoming what we all tell our children to be, self-sufficient. That is the American way. That's the basis on which this country was built, and that is why advanced and alternative energy is the right thing to do in so many ways. Now, I would say to you that although we all want the price of gas to go down, I think when it was particularly high, there was more of an incentive for all of us to focus on conserving.